Dan Kulp here from KulpLights. I just want to give a quick update about some new features related to the servo effect that are part of 2024.11 with some more parts coming in .12. So, as some of you are aware, a couple months ago, the folks from Skulltronics reached out to me to kind of talk to me about some ideas for how to make FPP more usable for their customers. And for those of you guys that don't know anything about Skulltronics, they do these really cool talking skulls and some stuff around that and things like that. So obviously very servo intensive stuff, and just the way they handle things is a little bit different than kind of what we expect as part of our lighting community and stuff. And so they reached out to me just to start some discussions about some possible enhancements specifically to FPP. Now, those enhancements are a subject for a different video, but part of the discussions with them was trying to figure out what pain points they've had. One of the questions I had is, why aren't some of their users using xLights to do some of the sequencing around the skulls? Because we can obviously take lyric tracks and do some stuff with the lyric tracks and things like that. And they basically said that the users had tried to use xLights and found it too difficult to use. So my background being very light-based, I didn't really understand what made xLights difficult to use and stuff. So part of the whole discussions with Skulltronics was to learn more about servos and how they work. So I obviously went to Amazon, purchased a bunch, 3D printed a whole bunch of things to play with the servos and stuff like that, and kind of started playing in xLights to figure out how they work and where the pain points are and stuff. So some of that work is now in .11. A little bit more will be in .12, and hopefully over the next month or two we'll be able to get even more functionality in there to make using servos in xLights a little bit better. So part of this video is to introduce people to some of the new features that are in .11 and really showcase what were the pain points that people were having, or at least I was having, and how those pain points were solved. And so we're going to go flip over to xLights. So this is the older version of xLights. This is several versions older, but this is basically showing a one of their singing skeletons, and kind of if you import one of their VSA sequences in, what does it look like, and why is this hard to sequence? And the first thing you kind of see from this is basically you just have a bunch of servo icons. There's really no indication here at all as far as, okay, what are these servos doing? Are they ramp ups, down? They don't even really indicate which channel they're on. If you click on a specific servo, you can see, okay, this is the tilt servo. If you click over here, this is the nod. And for the most part, again, you can't really see what's going on without really clicking on the effect. And the other thing that's really difficult with the servos is with servos, I mean, sometimes you do want it to be flat, like this is a flat value, 51.2% or whatever. But commonly with servos, you're moving. You're going from left to right or up to down or something like that. And there's really no indication here as to what it's doing. And even if you click on a servo that moves, these are just jumping, partially because it's, but to make it really move, you kind of had to go into a value curve and do some sort of ramp to get it to ramp up or ramp down and things like that. And it was a lot more steps to get it to go where you want it to go. And again, so now you have the ramp, but there's just this indication of it, and there's really no way to adjust things without, again, going back into the value curve and doing whatever type of adjustments that you need to do. A lot of extra steps, very hard to see what's going on, and so when I started playing with this, I kind of really understood where some of, I'm not going to say all of the frustration points, but definitely where some of the frustration points were. So that's why I decided to start looking into some of these problems and see if there's easy solutions or ways to make this stuff a little bit easier or a little bit better to visualize. So if we now move over to the latest code, which is, this is a debug build built from the latest stuff which will be part of .12, you can immediately see that a lot of things have changed. You can see a lot more details about what your servos are doing. xLights effects have the ability to provide background or kind of background information underneath the effect icon, and I've used that to kind of show exactly what the servos are doing. So the servo, like this servo here, is flat for a little bit, and then it'll go down, and then flat for a little bit, and back up, and you can see immediately what the servos are trying to do. They're going up and down. You can even kind of see where there's potentially some problems. Like right here, it's flat at one level, but then immediately the ramp starts from below it and then kind of goes up. So that kind of question, I have a little bit of questions around that one, but it's something that we can look at. But again, the fact that you can visualize this immediately and see it is a huge kind of a huge advantage to that. The other thing that I did was the ability to put names on layers. So you can, any layer you can kind of click on and edit the layer name. So in the case where like this is all these servo effects are for the nod, we can name it the nod. We have the jaw and the pan and tilt and other various servo related things. It helps you to see immediately, okay, I know that this line here is the pan. So if I'm trying to adjust some of the pan settings, we can just kind of click on that servo and start making the adjustments. So that there is all helps you organize things, visualize things a little bit better, but not so much help you actually do the editing. And that's where the other set of changes that I've been working on. So and that's in the servo effect panel itself. I split the value into a start and an end. In general, again, when we're working on servos, for the most part, you're creating ramps. You have a start thing, you're making the servo move a little bit, and then you're basically have an end point. So it makes sense to have a start and an end. So in this case, if I want the tilt to go from left to right or something, I can have it start like way over here. You can kind of see it kind of doing its thing whilst, and immediately also over here you see it on the line, so you can kind of see exactly what it's doing. Or maybe I want it to go the other way, so I just kind of go the other way. You can play around and visualize it a lot easier. The other thing that people want to do is just be able to have it flat, so we can click the sync, and now both of them will stay in sync as we're kind of adjusting, okay, where do I want it at this point? Do I want it down here? Maybe. Or do I want it over here? You can kind of play with it and just kind of get an idea of where it needs to be. And again, it's visualizing here, you're seeing it up in the preview. It makes it easier to kind of figure out where things are. There's other two buttons that make things a little bit quicker to use as well. Common use cases are, okay, this is fine, maybe I'll then copy this effect and kind of move it over to the other side, but I need to reverse the values. So a quick swap and they would become swapped. Or I just took a ramp down and now I just want it to be equal. You can hit equal and they'll kind of equalize. So those are just, these three controls are just here to manipulate these. They don't really have any effects other than to control the start and the end. Now, that said, there are cases where the value curves make sense, so you still have that option. So if you want to do a crazy, I don't know, let's do a parabolic up or something like that, you can still do that, and you'll see the end gets kind of wiped out or disabled at this point because of the value curve. We're dealing with a value curve now. And then just click on a band and you're back to what it was. So it depends on what you want to do. Again, you can kind of see what the whole value curve right on the effect on the timeline. So again, a lot more, a lot easier ways of visualizing and manipulating your servos. Hopefully the goal here is just to kind of make it a little bit easier and more less frustrating, I guess is the right word, to basically sequence your servos along with the rest of your show. So if you have a mix of lights and servos, you should be able to control them together and kind of edit them in the same sequence instead of having to go off to a different application to do your basically sequencing of your servos or your skulls or whatever, and then try to bring them into xLights after they're done externally. So hopefully that kind of makes sense, and people will find that a little bit easier to use if you're dealing with servos. I do have some thoughts for how to make things even better in the future. For those of you that didn't catch my earlier video, I do now have a controller that's designed to control servos, so I do need to update xLights to be able to kind of use the visualizer to drag and drop various servos onto the various channels of the controller, have it automatically upload the servo configuration, things like that. So there's definitely still a lot of work to do, and hopefully over the next couple months we can kind of work on some of that. But hopefully this is a step in the right direction. I definitely hope people will give this a try. Let me know if they find any of this to be easier or not, or if you have suggestions on how to make it even better. Let me know. Again, I'm new to this whole servo world, so any suggestions people have to make this work better, I'm all ears. I would love to hear it. So again, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to post in the comments below, or ping me on Facebook, or send me an email or something. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that fun stuff, so that we can keep videos like this coming in the future. Thank you.